All right, Josh, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me.
It's crazy. You and I were jamming before we started today. It turns out we came from same industry before doing all this, right? And we were kind of competitors.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. The striker days go back and they're deep. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we competed. We were in the same space for a long time. So that means you're a good guy.
that's right. Yeah, didn't know each other. We were in totally different territories, but we sold very similar products, which was fascinating. So I want to give the audience just a little bit of context of who we're listening to and all that. So just share your story as far as what your family looks like, kids, and love to also know just what do you like to do just outside of work and family that just things bring you joy.
Yeah, listen, two kids, 5-year-old girl named Lenny, 2-year-old boy named Rowdy. And we really shot ourselves in the foot with that one because he used to be this really calm and gentle kid, and now he's just an absolute animal. And then I've been married for 7 years, going on 8 this July. And like everybody, it's been a fantastic marriage, but marriage isn't easy, and we work through it. She's happens to be my business partner as well on the lady side of Joy. And what do I like to do? I love music. I live in Nashville, so there's a lot of music at my fingertips. I lived in Denver for the last 12 years, so I got to see Red Rocks and so many great shows there. I love to ski. Once a year, I try to go heli skiing, cat ski, and spend time with the family, man. Quality time, put the phone down type stuff, spend some time with the boys. I get a lot of enjoyment just from community.
So cool, man. You've lived in a lot of really cool places. Red Rocks, that is, so I've been there but I haven't seen a concert there. I know that sounds kind of weird. We were out there a few years ago on 9/11.
Oh
And
wow.
so if you run those stairs all the way up and down and all that, so 20 laps was the distance from floor to top of the tower of the World Trade Centers. So on 9/11, when we were there a handful of years ago, me and a group of guys, we ran that route 20 times. And I think it probably took us about an hour to do that. And you're at that higher altitude. So we
Yeah.
were smoked, man, after that. And like it was in the middle of summer too. So it was some pretty good heat too.
Yeah, it's no joke, man. First of all, Denver's mile high, so you're at 5280, and then you get over to Morrison, Red Rocks. I think it's another 1.5 to 2,000 feet,
Mhm.
and that air gets really, really thin. So if you're hustling those stairs, man, it's a workout.
Yeah, it was, man. My wife and I'm actually, it's funny. I'm looking at my vision board right over here to the right, and it's got the top 11 things that we're going to be doing that we plan to do at the beginning of this year. And one of them is a Red Rocks concert. We haven't
Okay.
found one yet though. So like I didn't know this, but apparently like what the Red Rocks will do is they'll put on all these different shows that, I would say a lot of people don't know the bands or they're not nearly as well known. And then it's not until maybe kind of like later on this, probably right about now, they start packing in like the higher end shows and all that. So I've been looking like literally religiously at least every couple of weeks, be like, all right, when like what concerts are out there? What could we go see? But from what I understand, a Red Rocks concert from an acoustic standpoint experience, like there's nothing else like it.
Dude, I think it's the top. If it's not one, it's top three venues in the world.
Yeah.
Not only from the sound of how the music literally vibes off the actual rocks, and they're literally red rocks, and it's a deep steeped amphitheater, so I think it goes 100 rows up, but then the view in the background, just that crisp mountain air. It's an amazing place to see a show. If you ever need help with tickets, you can holler at me. I got a bunch of people who know the ticket industry really well in Denver.
Oh, sweet. I'll keep you on speed dial. Yeah. I interviewed Mark Roberge on the show twice here. He's the lead singer of OAR. And
Oh, sure.
I think I asked him a question in the interview. I was like, man, what was like a high point moment, like one of the best moments you've ever had, doing this work, as a musician and lead singer? He was like, there's two. One was when we sold out Madison Square Garden. The second, by far, he's like, and actually, these two compete for first place because it was one of those things I always wanted to do. He's like, when we played at Red Rocks, he's
Ah,
it was like the best freaking night, man.
Dude, what's crazy, I saw OAR at the University of Minnesota in like 2000 and it was like four.
Yeah.
Great show. Like that was the crazy game of poker days.
Yeah.
Rock. It was what a great band, man. I used to listen to OAR, Dispatch, and a few of the jam bands.
Yeah. That's so funny, man. OAR and Dispatch, they went on tour last year. Me and the family, we saw them here in St. Louis, and they loved it, man. The lead singer of Dispatch gave my 9-year-old drumsticks. And then OAR, they gave my 9-year-old Richard On, the guitarist, he gave my son his guitar pick. Like, I think, no,
Wow.
dude, that was the first concert he ever went to. I was like, don't get used to this, man. Not every concert's like this.
Wow.
Like,
That's crazy, dude.
yeah, it was fun. But anyway, like, I know we're talking about health optimization, and just by getting to know you for the past few minutes and before we hit record, I know health is a huge part of this. And the audience knows, as far as many shows as I've recorded, and if they've been a listener, like, health is that is a foundational element to, what we believe in as far as optimizing your overall experience and even fulfillment. I'm not talking about like you have to have a six pack and, all that to enjoy fatherhood, but just to feel good, right? And to have wellness, at the center of what you're doing. But I'm curious, you have a story behind this of why you're even doing this. I'd love for you to share it.
Yeah, it's a little long-winded, but I'll try to keep it tight. But this journey of starting this company started with my personal struggles within health. And mid 30s, my wife and I went through these ups and downs of fertility issues. We had 4 miscarriages in 4 years. And I had partied a lot back in the day. Obviously, I was up at Red Rocks and I was an athlete. So I knew my body at one time and I went through these miscarriages. And a lot of guys don't know that the male's hormones can change just as much as the women's. In some cases, testosterone levels can drop as much as 50 to 75%. Estrogen levels can go up, and cortisol, your stress hormone, can obviously change as well. Typically, when that all happens, it's a recipe for disaster. And I just happened to be one of those guys that fell into that bad recipes. And my story is probably similar to a lot of guys who went and saw their primary care doc. I saw 2 different primary care docs. They told me I was on the low side of a range, sent me home packing, went back to my wife, said, "Hey, babe, nothing's wrong." They're telling me nothing's wrong. She's like, "What do you mean nothing's wrong? You have no sex drive. You got belly fat. You're not the same person you once were." And it took me owning that journey. It took me trying to really participate in like what my next step in life was. And I finally found a hormone specialist that changed my life. I credit him for 2 things: saving my health and saving my marriage, because he was the one that opened my eyes to optimization. And truly, the key word is optimization. Looking at testosterone levels or certain biomarkers in optimal ranges, not suboptimal ranges, or just vast ranges in itself. And being the entrepreneur that I was, being in healthcare for the last 15 years, I saw so many holes and opportunities. And for the first time in my life, I wanted to truly change the paradigm in the game for men to own their journey in health.
Man, the whole normal thing, like, it's fascinating to me because from what I understand, because I had to research this myself, because I got a bit terrified at the last doctor visit that I had. So I'll explain what that is. Um, but the normal range of testosterone, I think it used to be 200 to almost 1200. Is that correct? And then they've recently lowered it in the past year, 2 or 3, something like that, to 900.
Yeah, so the ranges continue to drop, and not for our favor. You could easily say the range over the last 10 years was somewhere between 300 and 1,000. Now the definition of hypogonadism, which is the true definition of low T, it's a clinical definition, has dropped in the low twos. And it just depends, like, who you're talking to. Are you talking to LabCorp? Are you talking to primary care docs? Are you talking to docs who specialize in optimization like what we do? Because we got all different ranges. And a lot of times those ranges are not set by the doctors. They're set by an unhealthy population that's being tested at those labs. And the unfortunate reality is it's set by insurance.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense. Um, it's interesting though, because so I went to go, I had blood work done. I'm 40, I'm 47, and I had blood work done. And my doctor, I went in, I actually went in for a yearly physical, and he's like, "Hey man, I am really concerned about your blood work." And I was like, okay. What's wrong with my blood work? And he goes, "Your testosterone for your age is way too high." And I was like, he's like, are you on steroids? And I'm like, am I on steroids? I was like, I'm 168 pounds, man. I was like, do I look like I'm on steroids? And he's like, well, are you taking, TRT? I was like, no. I was like, I never have. And he goes, well, I don't understand why your numbers are so high. I was like, well, what is it? He's like, it's 989. I was like, well, I know it's on the high side, but I didn't think that was too high. He's like, well, it's too high for your age. And I was like, okay, well, what are you concerned about? He's like, I'm concerned when we see numbers like this, you have a tumor in your testicles or you have a tumor on your adrenal glands. And I was like, awesome. That's great news. Now what do we do? He's like, well, I'm going to send you for a CT scan, and we're going to take a look at your kidneys and your abdomen and make sure there's nothing going on. And he's like, we're going to do contrast and the whole 9 yards, see blood flow. And I'm like, oh, geez. So I worried sick I don't think I slept for like a week. I'm like, great, this is awesome. And of course, like every like discomfort that I felt, like, oh, I probably have cancer. But and then I went and got it done, and totally normal. So my doc was like, I guess you just have high testosterone. He's like, and as long as it's not causing you any issues, and I guess you're okay. I was like, well, what issues would it cause? He's like, oh, you be, angry a lot, and I'm super. I'm like, nope, I'm good. So it was interesting because like, and that's what made me do the research. I'm like, well, what is normal? I think it's 900, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it used to be almost 1200. I think it was 1197 was the top. And then they lowered it. And I just kind of reached out to a few other folks like yourself. And I'm like, why are they lowering it? And the explanation that I got, and I have no idea if this is accurate or not, is, well, if you think about it, they're really comparing it to the quote unquote normal shitty health that a lot of people are in. So they lower it to make it more normal. I have no idea if that's true or not, but is there any accuracy to that?
There is. So a lot of times these ranges are set by the general population that is getting tested. So let's just take LabCorp or Quest, for example. 1,000 people, 1,000 guys come in, they get their testosterone checked. They're going to take a range that is based off of that 1,000. The unfortunate thing, when you think about that, most people who are often getting tested at a lab are not optimal beings. They're usually suboptimal because the doctor's telling them, we found something wrong, go get your labs tested. Or maybe it's some type of annual wellness exam, which is not even performed that often. So there is logic to that. The other logic is that we are just seeing plummeting, and I would say almost epidemic type levels of testosterone levels dropping in men for multitude of factors,
Yeah.
multitude of factors. So I think you have a general population issue. I think you have ranges that are set forth by a generally sicker population like LabCorp. And then we know for a fact that levels are just dropping sometimes as much as 10 to 15% every year over the last 30 to 40, 50 years.
So I'm just going to speculate here, but I would love to just from an educational standpoint. So I've heard processed foods is probably one of the culprits. Also sedentary lifestyles probably as well. Lack of just men with doing exercise and that kind of thing. Am I covering everything, or is there more?
Oh, you're 100% right. I mean, I think there's also like the emergence of cell phones, social media, cortisol levels drop, rising, falling, serotonin, dopamine, all that stuff that can affect testosterone levels. Guys are just less physically fit. They're not working out as much. They're gaming, smoking pot. There's a lot of different things, stress, pollution, that has just changed over the years. I mean, we know men are working less and less and less with their hands in more physical manners, and that's going to become even a greater problem, especially with the emergence of AI. But those are all correlating factors.
Mm. So I'm guessing so exercise, does that have, or I guess the lack of exercise, does that impacts testosterone, correct?
Yep, you bet, 100%.
And tell me about the relationship between cortisol, which by the way, if the guys in the audience don't know what that is, I mean, obviously that's the stress hormone. What is the relation between testosterone and cortisol?
Well, it's a very symbiotic relationship or a very antagonist relationship. It's very, very rare that we see even guys who come in that are physically fit, look great in a bathing suit type stuff. They come in oftentimes if their stress levels are high, their testosterone levels are low.
Hmm.
So if you're running an optimal, call it environment from a stress environment. Like we talk about this all the time in our clinic. There's two things we want you to manage outside of your testosterone. That's your sleep and your cortisol levels, your stress levels. If you can manage those two latter ones, you're going to have a better or more opportunity to have a more optimal range of testosterone level. They are 100% correlated.
And you mentioned sleep in there too. So if you look, the story I'm telling myself, especially with devices and blue light and all that stuff, probably the quality of our sleep has dramatically decreased over time. And then on top of it, I think there's a lot of pressure from a social standpoint that you should only get like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. And then that determines whether you're a grinder or a hard worker, the 5 a.m. club and all that. But everything that I understand is that if you are not getting good quality sleep for maybe even a certain range of time, that is going to dramatically impact your testosterone. Is that correct?
100%. I mean, we have data, we have studies that show if you're not getting, 8 hours of sleep a day, you can decrease your testosterone levels as much as 50%. Every human needs somewhere in that ballpark, 8 hours or more. It's pretty much a given. That whole grinder mentality, that one CEO or that one founder that you heard that works, 20 hours a day, barely sleeps. That's a bunch of bullshit. That is not a good pathway to a healthy life.
You want to hear something really funny? And I always thought, I mean, I should know this because of what my degree is in. And I did know this, but for some really dumb reason, I thought I was like immune to it. Not immune to it, but like it just won't impact me. But it was probably it's only been for about a year and a half. I got away from the 4 a.m. club. So I've been doing that now for about a year and a half. And so when I was doing the 4 a.m. club, I was up at 4:05 every single morning. And I'd be in the gym by 4:35 every morning. I don't know what the deal is. It just mentally it was easier for me to get up at that time. But I was always hovering about 195 pounds, 18% give or take body fat, 17% body fat, somewhere around there, which isn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. And I just kept working harder and harder and harder and harder. And I'm like, why is this weight? Like, why is this not budging? Like, why am I not getting leaner? And I used to meet the same workout partner every morning. Well, about a year and a half ago, my 14-year-old, who's now 15, had this bright idea that he and I should do a bodybuilding show together. And how do you say no to that? When your 14-year-old challenge is like, hey, we should do this together. So we ended up doing it. So I forgoed my 4 a.m. club and I was able to sleep in till like 6:15 and just take my kids to school. And then he and I would train after he got off school. And in 15 weeks, my body fat went from 17% or so down to way below 10. It was in the 7 to 8 range. And I didn't really change. I mean, I changed my diet up a little bit. I ate obviously a lot cleaner, but I couldn't believe the biggest thing that did change was my sleep. I was
Sure.
able to actually sleep 6, 7 on a rare night, 8 hours, hardly ever. But I was definitely logging 2 hours more sleep per night. And I think and the other thing too is my testosterone wasn't as high as it is now. It was in the 700s. And as soon as I started logging more sleep, suddenly things started kind of turning around a little bit.
That's amazing. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, just as an individual, I know how much more productive I am when I sleep
Yeah.
and I on a regular basis. I mean, I obviously Whoop and Aura Ring are taking the world by storm, but I don't need a wearable to tell me if I slept like shit. I typically know it, and my body reacts that way. And I think it's it makes sense that you were so productive, you leaned out just through sleep and probably just through consistency.
Yeah, it was that I think it was consistent sleep and, not I don't know. It was probably a lot to that, but I'm curious. So let's talk to the guys who haven't had blood work done in quite some time because I'm sure that's a huge population. But you know how when you probably you've probably been you used to be an athlete and all that, but like you've gone through we've all gone through times in our life where suddenly we go from eating quote unquote normal, right? To like we just start eating super clean. Maybe we cut out like some of the alcohol that we usually drink or even like cut down the caffeine. And suddenly we're like, holy crap, man, like I feel really good. But we didn't realize how bad we felt until we started doing those things to kind of clean things up. So we get used to like this norm of like, well, this is just how I feel. But until we shine a spotlight on what some of those symptoms are, people have no idea that they even have symptoms. So, what have you found that for guys who haven't had their blood work done in a while and maybe they're feeling this, or that tend to show up when they're suffering from some of these things?
I think men are a challenge, man. We haven't figured out the puzzle of men. It's kind of that, I don't treat myself unless it's really broken. And I think that's like embedded in our psyche from, very, very young ages. Like you get hurt as a kid, you pour dirt on it, and you get back to what you're doing. But a lot of what we see, man, to be honest, is partners pushing one another. And a lot of times we're seeing wives say, hey, Josh, get your shit together, go to the doctor, get your blood checked, because it's not only about you. I'm in this relationship too, and I've seen you change. And then occasionally it's kids. I had some really light bulb moments. I had my father pass away last fall. My aunt passed away, the same fall. My brother-in-law had a heart attack. And I started doing the math and I started saying, man, I'm 41 years old. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I have a 2-year-old son. When he's 20 years old, I'm going to be 60 years old. I need to be healthy. I need to start learning what longevity means. I need to start learning what health span means, not only for myself, but for my kids. So, I think sometimes it's these little events that happen around you. Sometimes it's big catastrophic ones, like your father passing from heart disease. But it's good. I think guys just need to be aware there are options and that it's not just a reactive thing, it's a proactive thing. And we can get ahead of problems well before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate if you really think about it that it takes these life altering health crisis scares to really put us into place. I have this potential client that I'm working on right now, that I'm working with right now. And I say potential because he's a friend, but he is looking to join one of our groups. He's actually looking to join one of our business owner masterminds. And one of the biggest things for him is health, right? It's it and he's physically unhealthy. And I've asked him, he said, I really want to do the mastermind. And one of the biggest things I'd really love to do is I'd love to lose 50 pounds over the next year. And I'm like, awesome, man. Well, we can help you do that. But let me ask you this. If you don't get help on that, what is it going to take for you to really take charge of your health? And just blatantly, he's like, if I'm being honest, it's a health scare. It's me having a heart attack. I was like, why would you wait? Like, why would you wait for something like that before you take out what? Why wouldn't you do something preventatively? He's like, I don't know, it's just the way I'm wired. But I think it's fascinating that people would wait that long to do something, that there had to be, their best friend or a relative or even themselves before they take action. But what have you found as far as just if a man is struggling with lower testosterone, what are some of the breadcrumbs that they usually feel that's like humming in the background?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that people think is low sex drive. That is
Right.
definitely one of the catalysts. But a lot of guys we treat come with great sex drives, but belly fat. Are you starting to gain weight in areas that you didn't have? People think mood swings are more correlated to high testosterone levels. It's actually the opposite. Brain fog. The biggest thing that we probably get is I don't have the same stamina, energy, just to get through the day. Guys are overcompensating for coffee, not wanting to get in the gym. Those are all signals of low T. And people don't understand that the reason why you're seeing some of those cognitive symptoms is because your brain's got all these receptors that are being fed by your testes, which is producing your testosterone. And when that starts to change, your brain is losing those receptors. And imagine that happening over 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. It becomes a chronic issue that is a lot harder to address.
So so explain that to me. So the receptors in the brain. So so and it's obviously signals coming from the testicles.
Yep.
So how does the brain receptors have what does that have to do with it?
Well, that's just where a lot of the signals is going to. There's just, I mean, there's all kinds of receptors going from your neural to your actual testes in terms of testosterone.
Okay, so I'm now I'm following you. So you're saying like
Yeah,
those are the cues that are
yeah,
connected.
exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah. So, because a lot of guys will come to us and they'll say, "Well, how the hell does that work? How does brain fog actually happen? I'm just producing more testosterone." Yeah, exactly. You're producing more testosterone, which a lot of that signaling is going to your brain.
And let's talk about anti-aging and let's talk about peptides as well. I know that in this space, a lot of people are calling it more a longevity play or anti-aging play or optimizing your health. What does testosterone and peptides, what does that have to do with, I guess, keeping us quote unquote younger or having the longevity?
Yeah, I mean, I look at these as more about vitality and not necessarily reversing the clock, because there's a lot of things that you can do for longevity that are pretty challenging. But what we tend to say is we make you feel your best. Like we give you the remedies and the power to feel your best. Hormones, testosterone happens to be a very, very powerful hormone marker that allows us to do that. And we clinically, it's studied. It helps with vitality, helps with longevity, lifespan, the whole 9 yards. And then peptides are these short chains of amino acids that have been around for decades. I mean, people don't even realize insulin is a peptide. It's the number one peptide in the world. When it's in the body, it's a hormone, but when it's injected as an exogenic product, it's an actual peptide itself. But now they've spawned into all these unique categories. We have 7,000 peptides flowing through our body as we age. Like most things in our body, they age with it. And all we're doing is telling the body to produce more of that actual peptide to give you that relief or give you that symptom improvement.
Hmm. So with the longevity play, let's I know we're kind of jumping around, but I do want to talk about one other thing here too, which is sleep. If
Sure.
if our hormones are optimized, will the sleep quality actually get better?
It can.
Okay.
It's certainly not going to hurt you.
Okay.
If you're definitely, I mean, you got to understand testosterone, for example, is a phenomenal anti-inflammatory biomarker that's flowing through your body. If you're at a low, testosterone level, your body's going to live in a more inflamed state. But yeah, absolutely, man. If you're, I can tell you that was one of the within probably 2 weeks, that was one of the things that almost immediately changed on me. And I didn't really see some of the physical changes or symptoms improve for probably 2 to 3 months.
So with when you say like we want to feel our best and we want to have less brain fog when it comes to having our hormones optimized, what have been some of the adjectives that some of your clients have said, I used to feel this and now I feel that? I'd really love to hear anything, maybe even really specific.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I have so many friends that are on this. I used to feel like shit. Now I feel like $1 million. Literally. I mean, I can't tell you how many guys we've even considered doing this as a slogan. We save marriages. We flat out save marriages on the female side and on the male side. If libido's off, we have literally changed what's happening in the bedroom within months. And any relationships that's not having that connection, it's going to be a lot harder. And marriage is tough enough as is. But there's so many things that we've improved. I mean, we've literally taken guys who are in pre-diabetic, diabetic ranges and got them working out, got them losing weight, got their hormones dialed in, and got them out of that dangerous A1C range.
Interesting. And when you say save marriages, even outside the bedroom, if a man doesn't feel very good, or even the females as well, but if you're not feeling good, you're not going to show up for the relationship with as much energy or as much zest or anything like that. And especially if you don't feel healthy, it's a lot of people don't connect the dots of my physical health is related to my mental and emotional health and vice versa.
Totally.
You know?
We actually work with a guy. He's a big UFC guy. Was a legend named Dan Henderson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a phenomenal guy. He's become a friend of ours, and his wife literally thanks us in testosterone for getting his ass off the couch. And he's like, yeah, I get laid a bit more now that I'm off the couch more. So like it really is just being productive as a husband or a dad is something that's really good for the marriage as well.
He's on your testimonial page, right?
Is
Yeah, because I went there and I checked that out and I was like, holy crap, it's Dan Henderson. Because I used to watch him fight, like back in the day. So
yeah,
that's
man.
cool, man.
He's like I think he's 51, 52.
Yeah.
And the guy just stopped fighting not that long ago, believe it or
Right.
not. And I had him over a long time ago and I tangled up with him for a second. I was like, oh geez, this guy's just built different.
Oh, it's crazy, man. Those guys are nuts. One of the guys that I've befriended through this podcast is Frankie Edgar.
Oh, sure.
And he's a good dude. I've had him on the podcast twice. And then he and I were speaking at a speaking event about a year and a half ago. And so we were together and I go, hey man, I go, can you indulge me in something? And he's like, yeah, sure. What do you got? And I was like, I've always wanted to be on the other side of that face off, where you guys are like toe to toe, like, and like at the press conference. And I just want to see, like, I want to see what a guy is standing toe to toe with you, what he sees. He's like, oh, I got you, man. I got you. And he was smiling, all that. And all of a sudden we just did it. And dude, he's only like 5'6" or 5'7". I'm 6'1". And this dude looked up at me and the look in his eye, like I felt fear. Like I was like, this guy could run right through me in under a second, like right now. It's
Dude,
crazy.
it's gnarly, man. Those guys think different. They're built different. We've all been around really world-class athletes and something like that, man. I felt the same thing with Dan. You're just like, there's just something a little bit different. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to tangle with you, so I'm good.
Yeah, they're a scary breed, that's for sure. Can we talk about food for a second as well? So
Sure.
it's obviously important. So what have you found has been specifically some of the major the foods that will impact testosterone negatively, like so the stuff we should probably stay away from?
I mean, anything processed is a bad thing. Stay away from plastics. We know that plastics are absolutely detrimental to our testosterone levels. Especially if you're jumping in a sauna, do not bring a plastic water bottle in with you. That's one of the worst things you can do. And there's this massive movement with cold plunging and hot therapy, and you were seeing all these guys do that stuff. But the biggest thing is to really focus on a protein forward diet, to eat good whole foods, vegetables, meat, and good quality meat. Get at least your ideal body weight, 1 gram per body weight of protein, depending on whether you're trying to lose or gain. But if you're doing that, you're going to have a lot more success when it comes to your biomarkers.
Mhm. What's the deal with plastic?
It's been it's detrimental towards our hormones. We know that it's literally one of the main catalysts for driving men's testosterone levels down and women's. Clinically studied.
So we should stay away from drinking water out of a plastic container.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's hard, man. Listen, like I just went to California for 3 days, and I mean, we're not all traveling with our Yeti or whatever your water device is, but I mean, I got one right here. You can see exactly.
Yeah.
Like I at home, I will never drink out anything unless it's glass or Yeti or something to that extent. But it's hard when you're traveling, but you can control it at least when you're home. And you know, you got to do the best that you can when you're, you know, out for work or something.
What about alcohol?
Oh yeah, absolutely avoid it if you can. Um, I have a, you know, I drank pretty hard for many, many years, and I went clean for about 90 days. Changed my life, changed the way I felt, changed a lot about my hormones, changed a lot about my workouts, my sleep patterns, my stress. But alcohol, smoking, tobacco, smoking cannabis, those are all going to lead to lower testosterone levels.
Hmm. Do you know scientifically or physiologically like why it impacts the testosterone level?
That's a good question. It's got to be something with the way the molecules are playing an impact on you know certain hormone markers. There's a physical piece, there's a mental piece. I mean, we can talk about serotonin and dopamine levels and stress. You know, and once again, when you're doing that stuff, you're probably sleeping worse. Your stress levels are higher, and you're you know usually adjusting or going towards some type of craving or addiction, which is you know a bad thing in itself.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, if you're trying to you're trying to put a band-aid on something and just making it worse. What about what about micronutrients? I mean, so many of us are focused on macros, protein, fat, and carbs, but micronutrients, I mean, I think if you run anybody's blood work, the micronutrients have really taken a beating over the past decade or two.
Totally. I mean, usually most guys, if you're not following the macros, the micros are going to follow. We really try to focus on macros. We really try to focus on a protein heavy diet. We have so many guys that come to us with just overall weight issues too. Not 10 pounds. They need to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds. I mean, you're fit, and that's probably why your testosterone levels are so darn high. I mean, it's rare we hear of guys in the 700s, 900s without some type of replacement therapy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I I do keep my body fat low. I mean, year round now it's under 10 and I do I train every day. Um I do
Right.
eat a really clean diet. So like I'm doing all the things. I haven't drank in over 200 days as we
Wow.
as we record. I'm doing a year over a year challenge with a bunch of other guys in our group. But yeah, it's definitely helped a lot. As
Yeah,
far,
that's amazing.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. Uh, I'd like to really help guys identify maybe perhaps where they might be at. So if we have men out there who are listening to the show right now and they're like, man, that is me to a T. Like what are the top 5 symptoms that you see? Like you could almost say it before they do when they walk in or when they talk to you over Zoom.
I, we call it. This is funny, man. Me and my boys call it Dicky Doo. Have you heard of Dicky Doo?
I have no idea what that is. No.
This is a funny one. The stomach stick out further than the Dicky Doo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. So that is probably the biggest sign that we can tell a guy's probably low on testosterone.
Wow.
If he's got extra belly fat on the side, on the front, you know, that's almost a direct indication without like saying anything, you know, without asking him any questions. That is one of the biggest physical symptoms that we'll notice, and we can pretty much tell.
Wow. So I mean that's got to be the majority. That's got to be a high percentage.
A lot, man. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Like, listen, we when we look at testosterone, we only look at it in optimal range. And when I say optimal range, the low side of that optimal range is 700. The high side is right around 1200. And you're going to fluctuate from time to time as a man. But if you're anything below that, we're starting to try to you know dissect what's going on. But most guys we're seeing are coming in 500 nanograms per deciliter or less.
And I get the feeling that our numbers can't be the only thing that we're looking at. Like I would imagine you probably have guys who are maybe they're below 700, but they're like, I feel pretty good, but then there's this, or that. Or then you'll have other guys who are like at 850 and they're like, dude, I still feel like kind of crap. And then you might boost them up to 950 or 1,000, and suddenly that changes their world. Is that accurate?
I mean, it's there's basically, it's a holistic approach. The biomarkers, the blood is to really keep us in balance, to make sure it's a safe enough patient to prescribe any of these therapies. But it doesn't mean it's the direct factor in why we put somebody on any one of these therapies. In fact, it's probably the secondary thing. It's usually about symptoms. Because you mentioned that guy that comes in the 800 range, he might feel like shit. And we're trying to go, wow, you look great, but symptomatically you're completely off. So then we'll start looking at things like free testosterone, and maybe they have a really good total testosterone, but their unbound testosterone, the amount of testosterone that they can use is really low. And then we usually have to find ways to remedy that situation. But it's not a perfect science in terms of how we put guys on these therapies. And then the counter to that is we've seen numerous guys, especially a lot of times guys who are athletes who are training hard, that are in the high threes, low 400s, look good, feel good, don't need any type of supplementation.
Interesting. So it's really based on individuals, and they probably first come to you with an issue or a couple of them, and then their signs and symptoms. What about so with tell me the difference between testosterone and then free testosterone, and why people should be paying attention to that.
Yeah, total is the number that we mostly talk about. It's the big number. That's the number or the range that we want guys to be in, that 700 to 1,200 nanogram per deciliter range. Free testosterone is the amount of testosterone that we can use, and there's a correlation. We don't really technically know how to raise free testosterone extremely well yet from a scientific standpoint. We have remedies to help boost that, but typically the best way to raise your free testosterone, meaning the amount of testosterone we can actually use, your body can use, is to raise that total testosterone score a little bit.
Got it. And then what about when we raise normal testosterone, is it true that estrogen will also go up as well, just naturally?
Yeah, it's almost 100% correlated. If you see a raise in testosterone levels, you're going to see a raise in estradiol.
And is that dangerous?
No, it's absolutely a good thing. What we want to do is make sure that range is a healthy range. What you see from years ago, or what you may have heard, is bodybuilders trying to get their testosterone levels as high as they can, and then literally bottom out or zero out their estrogen levels. It's a really unhealthy thing to do.
What are some of the dangers with doing something like that?
ED, that's probably the biggest issue, is erectile dysfunction. Then you can start looking at heart issues. You can start looking at, an increase in inflammation, autoimmune issues. But the biggest sign is erectile dysfunction.
That's all you had to say. You just scared everybody. That's it.
Exactly, man. But the reality is, if you're getting labs, if you're doing this in a supervised, a medical or clinical standpoint, they're going to be looking at that stuff, and you should be getting labs done, especially when you're on some type of replacement, no less than 4 times a year.
Okay. Very good. And then can we get back to peptides once again?
Sure.
So this is, I mean, I know a little bit about TRT. Obviously, you've helped me understand more here. But the peptide thing is something that I don't even know what people are using those for. So where do you find peptides the most useful, and why?
Yeah, there's a lot of uses for them. We have so many different peptides that are in the marketplace. Probably one of the most popular peptides right now is a category called GLP-1. It's glucagon-like peptide. You'd have to be living under a rock to not hear of Ozempic or Wegovy, or Trulicity or Mounjaro. These are peptides that are indicated for 2 things. One is type 2 diabetes, and the other one is obesity or weight management. Those have taken the world by storm. Why? Because they work. Most patients that get on these are losing anywhere from 10 to 20% of their body weight over time. And basically what's happening is we're slowing down that digestive tract to give that patient a satiated feeling, so they feel full longer. Other peptides that are really, really popular are growth hormone peptides, not to be mistaken for human growth hormone, but growth hormone peptides like Somorlin. Somorlin's been around for years. It's great. It stimulates more growth hormone in your body naturally. And it does a lot of great things for anti-aging, skin elasticity, muscle building, overall energy levels, libido, lots of great things with Somorlin.
And do you want to use these things in combination with testosterone, or can you use one or the other?
It depends on you. It depends on a couple things. One, where you're at symptomatically, like what are we actually trying to treat? If you're a candidate for low T, then we always suggest that you're on that. And then we look at other options depending on what your goals and needs are. But there's no reason you can't take them all together. I stack them all together, but I've done it very methodically because I want to see how my body reacts over time. I'm not going right for the gusto right out of the gates, but I usually wait, 1 to 2 months before I start trying any new therapies.
Very cool, man. This has been insanely helpful and quite a crash course on education on all of this. So I really appreciate you coming on and just clearing the air on what these are for. Is there anything that we missed, or is there anything that you think is still worth talking about?
No, I think, listen, if it's not us, guys need to own this journey. They really need to start participating in their health. And it's a lot easier to get ahead of problems before they become a problem. And at minimum, every guy, especially 30 and over, should be getting at least 2 lab panels done a year. And not just, basic ones, looking at something that's more comprehensive, something that's got 25, 30 plus markers, so you can get a full scope of what's going on at the body at that time. So the biggest thing that I tell people is just to own that journey, and take those little steps, because it could be something that saves your life.
I'd like to give you an opportunity, and I'm really curious to hear what your stance is. I know what my stance is. I've always been pretty blunt and direct. Is that a lot of men, and I think this is noble, right? I think it's viewed as selfless, but we will always put our own health and well-being on the back burner for the sake of, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't have time for that. I don't have money for that. I don't have this for that. I've got to take care of my wife and my kids, and all this is going to be put on the back burner. But I've been very blunt about, you know, my definition of that and why I think that's not the way to go. But I'm curious to know, what do you want to say to a man that might be rattling in his mind?
Well, listen, man, I went through it, and it was probably one of the most selfish things I've ever done in my life, is not take care of myself. And whether it was for me or whether it was for my family, my kids, it's one of the dumbest and most selfish things you can do. Because imagine yourself now, and imagine yourself 5, 10 years, or God, maybe even sooner, being a sick person. And now try imagine taking care of that family when you're sick or overweight, or you can't participate in certain activities because you didn't take care of yourself. I think the most selfish thing we can do is not take care of ourselves.
I heard somebody else talk. I agree with you 100%, 1,000%. And I heard somebody else say this. They're like, "Oh, you're doing this for your family." So, like, when you have a heart attack or a stroke, and now your family needs to take care of you, what do you think of that? And I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah, can you believe that?
yeah, that one definitely hits between the eyes." You're like, "Okay, yeah, that definitely lights a fire for me to go take care of myself," because that's the complete opposite of what I truly want. But most of us haven't thought of it that way.
Well, and like maybe it's not maybe it's not something like that, but everybody's got an alcoholic in the family, right? Everybody's got somebody who did something stupid, substance abuse, or battling some addiction, could be weight. Imagine being the person on that other end. I've gone through it all. I've gone through, heartache with my dad dying from heart disease, alcoholism, cancer. You don't want to be the person taking care of that person. It's tough. And I really, if anything that I try to do as a founder and somebody who truly believes in this, I just push people towards labs and let them, get a full look under the hood to make any adjustments from there. More importantly, find somebody that really focuses on optimization when they're doing that.
That makes total sense. Man, this has been awesome. Thanks for really educating us and really understanding this. I know over at blokes.co, this is what you do all day, every day. This is where you help men optimize these things. But I want to give you an opportunity here to share exactly the services that you provide, what you do, and how you go about it.
Yeah, we're an inch wide, a mile deep in optimization. We have three main pillars: diagnostic labs, hormone optimization, and prescription peptide therapy, which covers a whole list of different things. You can find us at getblokes.co or blokes.co. And you can find us on Instagram at getblokes. Lots of great content happen there, big community that's being built. And we'll be here for a while, man.
Awesome. Well, guys, not to worry. I'm going to have all the links in the show notes for you guys. We'll have, blokes.co. We'll have the Instagram handle as well. Also, we're going to have Josh's LinkedIn profile, his TikTok. Also, you have something in here for Reddit as well.
Oh, dude, I don't even know if we checked that one. That might be one of those that we just checked the box, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got a YouTube channel.
We do.
Yeah.
It's you try to be the jack of all. I would tell you the most action right now is Instagram. We got a little bit of love going on in TikTok, but if you're looking for just community updates, what we're up to, it's definitely going to be Instagram.
Got it. Well, you won't have to look far for that, gents. Not to worry. You can just head on over to thedadedge.com/428. Easy to remember. Again, thedadedge.com/428. We'll have all of Josh's links, everything for blokes.co in there as well. Josh, this was awesome from dad to dad, husband to husband. Thanks for the work you do and educating us on what we don't know and also providing the solutions for how we can optimize.
Yeah. Rock and roll, brother. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Gentlemen, again, head on over to thedadedge.com/428 and we'll have all the links there for you. Go out, live legendary. Take care.